Right, the final lesson of the second week, and a very brief presentation. This one, just to outline kind of key pieces of work that you need to get completed before Easter, and then just what activities you need to be looking at over Easter as well. Okay, so if we start off with the first one, well, today you should be completing the Boolean algebra questions, and I think you're on to exercises 4, 5, and then 15 questions from exercise 6. So that needs to be submitted by the end of today in the normal fashion. Can I just emphasize on that, please, that you try and submit written evidence of your answers, and also can you please show the stages of working that you've gone through to simplify the Boolean expressions, because that's what you'll get credit for in the exam. So I really want to see that. Some of you are just sort of jumping straight from the question to the solution without showing the in-between working. Okay, and that's going to lose you marks in the exam. So show me that working, please. Take a photo and upload that. So that's today. Tomorrow, and you'll see this assessment appear online, I want you to do a self-assessment. So by the end of today, well, maybe even first thing tomorrow, I'll put up all the answers to all the exercises from 1 to 5. I've already released exercise 1 answers, haven't I? But all the exercise answers will be available. So can you do a self-assessment on the Boolean algebra questions that you've done, and make sure, basically evidencing that you are bothering to do that reflection and look back over and see if you can highlight and pick out the mistakes that you're making, or hopefully verify that your thinking on Boolean algebra is sussed and you kind of know what you're doing. So yeah, please evidence that. That's a really important thing from my point of view, and if you can do that in the same way you did for the logic gates, that would be great. I will provide a short survey, but it'll be more just asking you about feedback overall for Boolean algebra and anything that you might want to have clarified, or particular questions that you might want me to look at. But it's not going to be a question by question form like the previous one. So that's for tomorrow. So yeah, so basically a self-assessment, self-marking the Boolean algebra that we've been doing all this week. Okay, and then because it is the last lesson of the week, there's a new programming task for you to have a look at, and if you remember, the objectives at the minute, we're sort of moving into looking at GUI. So GUI based programs. Last week I tasked you with creating a notepad program and also completing the GUI worksheet 1. So those should be completed, and you should also be able to upload those by the end of today. I will accept tomorrow though if you've not quite got those sorted. Okay, so all of this is a tick list for what needs to be completed by the end of tomorrow. Any questions, please just email me or message me through Teams. Over Easter then, key things that I'd like you to look at. Well, some of these you might get started on this week if you're really up to date with everything. So there's 2 new sort of graphical user interface tutorials. One looking at creating a MS calculator, so pretty much like the calculator you see within the Windows operating systems. You're going to have a go at creating your own version of that calculator and proving hopefully that it works correctly. The second program is going to be creating the humble Microsoft Paint and creating your own version of that as well, which has some really kind of potentially useful skills that you might utilize next year as well in terms of your year 2 project. So two programs to complete, a calculator and a paint tutorial. Both of those will be sent out this afternoon. Right, the project proposal, you'll notice that the hand-in date for this is actually in May, which is a week after we get back from Easter. I do want you to start thinking about this project proposal for year 2, because we are going to get up and running with it quite soon, and it's really important that you've got something lined up that's going to be substantial enough for a year 2 project. I'll just refer you to a previous presentation, recorded presentation that you can find on Teams, where I kind of introduced the year 2 project and what kind of projects are suitable to actually use. So do go back and watch that if you're not sure, and do message me and ask me questions. A few of you have done so already around potential ideas that you're having. Okay, and I'll try and help in terms of determining whether or not they're going to be a suitable project or not. Okay, so that's 1st of May. To help you write the project proposal, if you go to Moodle, I'll show you the Moodle homepage. So if you go to the landing page on Moodle for Computer Science Year 1 and then just scroll down, you will find a project proposal Word document here, and if you open that up, give that a second or two, you can just see a guide as to what I want you to write about and document. Okay, so yeah, what your project is about, who's the client, who's it going to be used by, what's the name of the company, what's the business do, what's the purpose of the system, and when's it going to be used, and where's it going to be used, and what type of system is it going to be, and then thinking about how you're going to make it, so what kind of skills you might be utilizing to actually develop the system. Okay, but I think the main thing really is I want to know about what kind of system you want to create, what kind of functionality you think the system is going to need. Okay, so yeah, as I said, any questions, just ask me, but that gives you a bit of an idea about what you can write about for that proposal. Just bear in mind, it doesn't need to be any longer than one side of A4. Okay, so there shouldn't be any longer than one side of A4 really in terms of detail. I'm not asking for War and Peace with the proposal. And then just the last thing that you could have a look at is the remaining Boolean algebra questions on exercise 6. Hopefully, having gone through the answers, figured out your mistakes, you should be able to tackle those remaining questions, although there are one or two quite tricky and particularly long-winded questions to have a go at within there. But I think if you can master exercise 6, then you can, there shouldn't be any kind of exam question that you should be in fear of in terms of what they could produce for you. Okay, so that's everything from me, guys. Just note these dates. The 24th of April is just the Friday before we come back, so you'll see that the submission boxes will reflect those deadlines. And yeah, I'll just repeat, any questions, do ask me. Yeah, and I'll try and answer them for you. Okay, have a good Easter, and well, I'm going to say see you soon, but we don't know about that yet at this moment in time, do we? But yeah, see you online again soon. Ta-ra.